Long ago, in the quiet village of Adim, there lived a young woman named Iriti, the daughter of a palm wine tapper and his wife popularly called Mama by all. Adim was a peaceful place, the kind where people woke to the sound of pesos pounding yam and ended their day under the soft hum of crickets. The people lived simply and feared the things they could not explain. Iriti was unlike the other girls in her village. She was gentle, yes, but she carried a restless curiosity, a hunger for understanding that made her stare into rivers longer than most, listening for what they whispered back. When others prayed for rain, Iriti prayed for reasons. When others laughed at stories, she searched for truth in them. One market day, while helping her mother sell peppers, an old traveler came by. He was tall but bent from years of walking. His robe shimmered faintly, and his eyes held the kind of silence that made even the wind pause. He said nothing for a long time. He simply looked at Iriti with a knowing sadness. Then he reached into his bag and pulled out a small mirror, framed with pink wood with beautiful drawings. "You have a searching heart," he said softly. "This mirror shows what your eyes cannot see." Iriti's mother frowned. "We have no money for such tricks." The old man smiled, the kind of smile that hides both pity and warning. "This mirror costs nothing, but it always takes something in return." Before either woman could speak again, he disappeared into the market crowd, gone like smoke after rain. That night, when the village slept and the oil lamp burned low, Iriti sat on her mat and lifted the mirror. Her reflection stared back, her eyes bright, her face calm. Then, as if stirred by wind, the surface rippled. Curiosity pricked her heart. She whispered, "Show me my future." The lamp flickered. The air stilled. And suddenly, the mirror showed her, not as she was, but as a queen. Her neck glittered with coral beads, her wrapper shimmered with silk. Servants bowed as she walked. She gasped and dropped the mirror, trembling. Just then, from the next room, her mother coughed, a dry, strange cough that shook the walls. By dawn, Mama Adoni was too weak to rise. For 3 days, Iriti nursed her mother. But as her mother's breath grew shallow, Iriti could not shake the words of the stranger. "It always takes something in return." Her heart warred with guilt and denial. Could a mirror, a simple piece of glass, really do this? She wanted to throw it away. Yet, each night, something in her called her back to it. One night, unable to sleep, she picked up the mirror again. Her eyes were red from crying. "Please," she whispered, "show me love. Someone who will help me. Someone who will take this pain away." The mirror shimmered. Through the misted glass, she saw the face of a man, handsome, tall, kind eyes, wearing fine clothes. And in the distance behind him, a carriage pulled by horses. The arrival of the stranger. 3 market days later, a caravan entered Adim. The people gathered to see who it was, a wealthy cocoa merchant from Abeokuta, they said. He came to the palm wine stall that day, his eyes meeting Iriti's. She froze. It was him. The man from the mirror. He smiled and spoke gently, "You are the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. What's your name?" Days turned into weeks. He came again and again, bringing gifts, fabrics, beads, mirrors from the city. He spoke of his travels, his home, his plans. He promised her a life beyond Odogba, a life where she would never know hunger again. Her mother's health was failing fast, but Iriti's mind was tangled between love, guilt, and curiosity. Could the mirror have truly brought him? Or was this fate at work? Iriti was torn between fear and longing. Her mother's health was fading fast. She wanted to believe this was love, not a curse. Before her wedding, she looked at the mirror one last time. "Will I be happy?" she whispered. The mirror darkened. Then, for a heartbeat, she saw herself crying beside a grave. She screamed, the lamp fell, and the mirror cracked in two. The next morning, her mother was dead. the mirror left behind. When she married the merchant, Ireti left Adam behind. She packed her things, clothes, cooking pots, trinkets, but she left the old, broken mirror in her mother's hut, hidden under a mat. She wanted to bury her past. Years passed. Her new life was peaceful, at first. She smiled again. She bore her husband a son. But one day, while searching through an old box of forgotten things she'd packed from Adam, something caught her breath. There, wrapped in old cloth, was the mirror. Unbroken. Oh! Its surface smooth, gleaming as though it had never cracked. Her hands trembled. "How did you find me?" she whispered. She tried to throw it away. First into the bush behind her house, but the next morning, it was sitting quietly by the doorway. She buried it by the well, but found it later inside her kitchen, dry and shining. Once, she even tossed it into the river, yet the following week, it lay inside her chest box, untouched by water. Each time, it returned. One evening, exhausted, she threw it far into the bush and swore never to speak of it again. But the next morning, her husband entered the room holding something in his hand. "I didn't know you had such a beautiful mirror," he said, smiling. "I found it by our bedroom door." Ireti froze. Her throat tightened. Her voice cracked as she whispered, "Did you look into it?" He laughed lightly. "Of course. It's a mirror, what else does one do with it?" She screamed. The sound tore through the house like thunder. 3 days later, her husband fell ill. The same way her mother had, the shallow breath, the fading voice, the eyes staring at something unseen. Ireti knelt beside him, weeping. The mirror sat on the table, catching moonlight, glowing faintly as if satisfied. She tried to smash it, with a pestle, with fire, with tears. But the glass refused to break. "What do you want from me?" she cried. The mirror shimmered. In the reflection, she saw herself, older, weaker, holding the same mirror. And then, faintly, it spoke. "You looked for what you could not understand. I only give what you ask. I only take what you owe." That night, as rain poured over the roof of her house in Abeokuta, they said a woman's scream echoed across the compound, and then silence. When neighbors entered her room the next morning, Ireti was lying beside her husband's still body. In her hands was the mirror, whole, gleaming, and cold as death. They say the eyes are the window to the soul. But mirrors see much deeper. Ireti only wanted to understand her life, to touch the mysteries that danced just beyond her reach. But what she forgot was this: every secret has a price. Every answered question demands something in return. That mirror was never just glass. It was her own longing, staring back at her. Feeding her hopes, and then feeding on them. You see, not every truth is meant to be known. Not every door should be opened. For when you look too long into certain mirrors, they begin to look back at you. So tonight, when you sit in your room and the night grows quiet, remember Ireti. Remember the mirror that would not stay away. And before you whisper your next wish, ask yourself, am I ready to pay the price for what I seek?